Janusz is here. Good morning, Janusz.
Good morning.
How are you?
Baruch Hashem, you have a cold.
I don't have a cold. I have a problem, but it doesn't go away.
Refuah shlema, sorry.
Amen. Thank you.
Is nobody here?
All right. We're going to start in a minute. Like over here, it's only just you and me on Zoom.
Yeah. On Zoom, there is nobody here. Only
Right.
me.
Right.
Student.
No announcements. Okay. Good morning, Yoshua.
Good morning, Rabbi. Nice to see you.
Happy Tu B'Shvat.
Tu B'Shvat Tov.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tu B'Shvat. We'll talk a little bit about Tu B'Shvat. Over the years, Tu B'Shvat has been a very, I guess, it resonates with me. It's a very important day for a number of reasons. Well, more recently, not so recently, it's the day that my son's bris took place on Tu B'Shvat. I think it was the first time ever they had a bris in Englewood Hospital because when my wife gave birth to twins, there were complications and she was there in the hospital for 9 days. So we had the bris. The actual bris itself took place in the abortion room, which was very good because there was an enclosed area and everybody could stand outside. So that worked out well. And the Seuda was in the boardroom of Englewood Hospital. And my mother, Aleha Shalom, whose yahrzeit is next Wednesday, brought all the candies and fruits and all the Tisha B'Av goodies. And that was a very special day. No, Tu B'Shvat, I'm sorry. Chas v'shalom. Tu B'Shvat goodies, the nuts and the fruits and so forth. So it was a very special day. It also resonated going back to my days in college. When I was in college, I was on the yeshiva debating team, and we traveled across the country in different squads. Some people went to the far west, some people went to the Midwest, different people debating different colleges on different topics. And one year I found myself in Skokie, outside of Chicago, on Tu B'Shvat. And after davening, they served pickled esrogim for breakfast. It was horrible. It tasted terrible. However, conceptually, it resonated. And I resolved at that point, this was now, I'm talking about 1964, 65, that later on, when I got married, I would always make sure to have something with esrog on Tu B'Shvat. Conceptually, the idea worked out. And I experimented with many, many different things. I made esrog cookies, esrog jam, of course, esrog meringue pie, esrog squares. Candied esrog peel, by the way, is delicious. I love it. It's a big pachkarai to make. But the thing that was most successful was esrog liquor. I have a bottle here. Please take some. Have a taste of Eretz Yisrael before you leave. Don't have too much because it's very strong, 90 proof. But the notion of eating something from Eretz Yisrael that an esrog is the epitome of an Israeli fruit. The candied pineapple does not necessarily remind you of Israel, but esrog will remind you of Israel. So please have a l'chaim with esrog liquor. I have plenty of it. Don't worry about finishing the bottle. I make gallons of it every couple of years. The connection between Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz is very, very important on Tisha B'Av. Okay, the day itself has some halachic significance. Tisha B'Av in the Mishnah talks about when you'd separate fruit, when you begin counting the years for Orla. In other words, if you plant fruit in Israel, so for the first 3 years of the fruit being yielded, you can't eat that fruit. And then NATEP Rabbi, in the 4th year, you bring to Yisrael. There's a whole halachic significance about the day itself when you count calendars, you count the kings. There's the whole Mishnah, the first Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah, which talks about different Rosh Hashanahs during the year. And the Rosh Hashanah for Ilanot is Tu B'Shvat, where you begin counting the years towards Orla if you plant a garden or if you have an orchard. The trees in the Medrash are very, very important. Medrash says when Kadosh Baruch Hu created Adam, so he takes him by the hand and they walk through the Garden of Eden. And he says to him, look at my trees. Look how beautiful they are. Everything I created for you. Be careful not to destroy or spoil my world. Take care. L'avda o l'shamra. You can work it, you can protect it. Because if you don't take care of it, there'll be nobody after you to repair it. And based on this measure, there's a whole limud in terms of ecology and taking care of the environment that grew up from this particular medrash, and there are many, many other medrashim like that. The importance of trees in Jewish life. We can do a whole excursus on the many, many Maimorei Chazal on the importance of trees. The best example that I can give you is coming up next month, the Hebrew calendar, and that's the importance of man depends on trees, fruits and so forth, wood for building, but especially fruits. There is a very unique bracha. You know, when kids study brachos, bees, there are special brachos that you don't recite on a regular basis, which most people don't know all the words for. Seeing a rainbow, seeing the big ocean, mountains, so forth. And I've had the occasion to see the ocean. And this, when you go to the Grand Canyon, make a bracha, Osa Masa Bracious. It's the most amazing thing. When you see the Rocky Mountains, there are brachas you make when you see great works of nature. There's also a very special bracha when you walk along in the springtime, in the month of Nisan, and you see trees beginning to bud, fruit trees. There's a special bracha that you make. I'll read you the text. It's a not a bracha you say all the time. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, shelo chiser ba'olamo davar, uvorovo brios tovos v'ilonos tovim lahanos behem b'nei adam. We thank Hashem for creating trees to give us pleasure, to give us sustenance. So it's a very unique, it's the only bracha that you make that I can think of where you thank Hashem for providing stuff for you to benefit from. We don't make a bracha when it rains. We don't make a bracha when we harvest our crops. But when you see trees blossoming, you make a bracha. It's a very important symbol of the life support system that HaKadosh Baruch Hu provided for man. Also, trees fill in terms of what we call Yishuv Ha'aretz, the importance of maintaining the country of Israel, the land of Israel. The Torah tells us very clearly that even when you go to war, don't cut down fruit trees. Very strange thing. You do anything else. When you go to war is I don't know how you describe war is a very, very I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It's an all-encompassing event, and you do anything you can to make your side win, to succeed. But you can't cut down fruit trees. To make battlements, you can't cut down a tree. Now again, the Mefarshim later on go into all types of discussions under what circumstances might you be able to cut down a tree if it no longer gives fruit. if it's needed to save lives, perhaps. There are other reasons that you might be able to cut down a tree. But generally speaking, you don't cut down fruit trees even in war. And based on this, and this is a very interesting notion, we come up with the idea of something called baltashkis. Don't waste. Don't do anything, no wanton destruction of property or of food. And if somebody wastes something, that's a violation of baltashkis. You don't, from the word losashkis calls it out, don't cut down the trees. I looked and I looked and I looked, and I was unable to find any halachic basis for the biblical prohibition, yes, but the notion of not wasting. Where does that, how do you connect cutting down trees to baltashkis? And if there is a halacha of baltashkis, why isn't it mentioned in Shulchan Aruch? Now, don't take my word for it. I can't claim to know all of Shulchan Aruch. But on the pasuk, the Torah Tamima, in his commentary on the Chumash, says, I looked, and I couldn't find anything in Shulchan Aruch. There's no halacha about baltashkis in Shulchan Aruch. There is a halacha, however, called bizui ochlin. Fascinating. There's no halacha about not wasting, based on not cutting down fruit trees, but there is a halacha of denigrating food. For example, and it's an amazing, conceptually, it's an amazing halacha. I don't know why this admit is not working for somebody. One of the things brought down in Shulchan Aruch, you can't denigrate food, you can't throw food. Food fights are definitely out. You can't throw food. Now, Sfardim usually follow the Shulchan Aruch very carefully. The Chaver was a Sfardim. Sfardim, on Shabbos, when they cut the challah, they throw it out to people around the table. It's clear violation of the Shulchan Aruch. I don't understand that. You can't, the Shulchan Aruch says very clearly, don't throw food. Another example, which I don't understand, and maybe my peculiarity. You've all been to a simcha of some sort where they'll serve soup in a bowl made out of dough, or a salad, it's something made out of dough. Now, unless you're going to eat that bowl, you're using that food to serve as a receptacle for other food. Can't do that. Shulchan Aruch, you can't do that. You can't use a piece of bread to sop up wine that's spilled. That's bizui ochlin. So it's a fascinating extension of a halacha that is counterintuitive. You would think not cutting down fruit trees would be the source for baltashkis. It is the source, technically, but there's no halacha in Shulchan Aruch of baltashkis. Not to denigrate food, yes. Not throwing food, not using it to sop up wine or to clean a table with, or to use as a base for something else. Again, unless you're going to eat it. And if you add an occasion where they use this dough bowl for soup or something else, at least eat part of the bowl. It's edible. It's a cute shtick to do, but bizui ochlin. There are many, many other examples of baltashkis that.
Throwing candy, for example.
I'm sorry?
Throwing candy at
Okay, throwing candy at an ufruf is interesting because originally they used to throw kernels of grain. For the same, to symbol of fertility and so forth. That's where the rice came in non-Jewish weddings. But in the Talmud talks about throwing wheat, throwing kernels of grain. And the difference whether you do it in the summer or the winter, if the roads are muddy or not, whether the birds can eat it or not, whole discussion there in the Gemara. But throwing candy, as opposed to throwing grain, that's a modern invention that we have in many, many shuls today. Again, symbolically, it's nice, But given all the kids that run to gather the candy, I'm not so concerned about Baltashkas. Nothing goes to waste. That candy gets grabbed and it gets
The
eaten.
bigger concern is how kids and adults make it target practice.
Yeah, okay, well,
Which is
again,
really horrible
yeah,
when you're doing a simcha and it's not b'kavadik for a shul, it's not b'kavadik for Shabbos.
it's certainly not appropriate to use it as a target practice. I have seen bar mitzvah boys at Chassanim, as soon as they finish their haftorah, they put on a helmet. It may be cute, but it's inappropriate. Definitely inappropriate. But some of the other areas of Baltashkis that are brought up, again, it's not in Shulchan Aruch, but the concept is very firmly rooted in Jewish law. Tearing kriya. When you are a mourner and you hear about a death or a funeral, you tear your clothing. Isn't that Baltashkis? You're destroying something. So the answer the Gemara gives, yes, you're destroying a garment. However, it has another effect in terms of relieving the stress or the pressure psychologically. You got to do something. So that might, again, the question is better than the answer. There are many other examples that the Gemara brings down of what might be considered wasteful behavior in other areas. There are even among the Baalei Musar who say that unnecessary speech or inappropriate speech could be a violation of Baltashkis. If you speak Lashon Hara, if you're gossiping, it's taking a power of speech which is given to man and diluting it or wasting it on inappropriate talk. Yeah.
Going back a second to Kriya, and like that it could be looked at as, Baal Tashbih or something like that. Anyway, my question is then, if there are rabbis, or there were rabbis, that think that that was inappropriate, didn't rabbis establish doing Kriya?
Yeah, no.
So like, it's like nishtahir, make up your mind.
No. It's clearly, it's the halacha. You have to do it. And what the rabbis did was to find a rationale for it. In other words, you have to tear kriya. That's very clear. But
where's it said that you have to do that?
Where does it say you have to do it? All right. So you'll find biblical references to that. You'll find the psukim that you can darshan out. Clearly, it's rabbinic. It's not biblical. But psychologically, it makes sense. You got to do something. You're under tremendous stress, and just relieves that stress theoretically. Okay, it relieves. But again, the fact that it's a stress reliever justifies the fact that you're ruining a garment. And now there are, by the way, a lot of discussion. People didn't have many suits, changes of clothing. So can you sew it up, and how you sew it up? So for a relative other than a parent, you can sew it up completely. For a parent, you can only sew it up irregularly, so you can see that it was torn, because that's a higher level of availance. So there are a lot of discussions about, but again, there are many other areas of where this halacha would apply in terms of Baltashkis. Primarily, the psukim of cutting down fruit trees relates to the environment. And the Gemara has some fascinating discussions that are way ahead of its time in terms of taking care of the environment. For example, the Gemara talks about pollution, air pollution, as part of taking care of the environment. You can't build a business that has a lot of smoke or foul odor near a community. It has to be outside. You can't pollute the air. There are halachos about property rights in terms of destruction of land. Many halachos that grow out of the halacha not to cut down fruit trees. The Shulchan Aruch again says obviously you can't cut down fruit trees, but it does not make that distinction of Bal Tashchis. And again, were it not for the Torah Tamima, I wouldn't be bold enough to say nowhere in Shulchan Aruch is there a halacha of Bal Tashchis. But Bizli Ochlin is a halacha that most people may not be aware of, or certainly don't study it as Shulchan Aruch, in terms of how you treat food, wasting food, for example. You know, when our mothers told us, eat what's on your plate, don't waste, because children are starving in Africa, they're still going to starve in Africa if you don't finish your plate. But conceptually, they were right. Conceptually, they were right. You don't waste. And that's why it's better to ask for seconds rather than put too much on a plate in the first place, because it might go to waste. But you don't, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a gift, and we can't squander that gift, whether that gift is the land upon which we live, whether it's the national parks, whether it's our gardens, whether it's our homes. If a person doesn't mow his lawn or doesn't take care of his own property, you might be in violation of this halacha, because you are not going back to the Medrash. La'avda o l'shamra. Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Adam HaRishon, take care of it, because if you don't take care of it, nobody else will. And this is one of the major lessons of Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat, again, there's a machlokes in the Mishnah, in Rosh Hashanah, Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. When is the Rosh Hashanah for Ilanot? So Beis Shammai says Rosh Chodesh, last week. Rosh Chodesh, Shvat, is the Rosh. Why? Because he lived up in the mountains, and the sun shines on the mountains before it gets to the valley, and the trees begin to blossom earlier, in the higher elevations, than they do in the lower elevations. Beis Hillel lived in the valley. He said 15th of Shvat, and we follow Beis Hillel. But the difference is in terms of the halacha regarding Orla and other halachos in terms of agriculture that the 15th of Shvat teaches us. The notion of la'avda o l'shamra, though, is very, very important in the sense that we can apply it to many, many areas of contemporary ecological concerns, whether it's maintaining forest lands, national parks, whether it's allowing drilling in pristine nature preserves. There are a lot of interesting concerns here. And it's not just political. To go into Alaska and to start drilling in beautiful forest land, including property owned by native Eskimos, is not just a political issue, it's a halachic issue as well, whether it's appropriate to do that. The whole issue of, what's the word I'm looking for? They go down for looking for oil. Oh, what's that called? Fracking. The issue of fracking. You know what fracking? Fracking is when you go way, way down in the earth to pump out oil that might be there using water. And in the process of this fracking of getting the oil, you're contaminating a lot of the land surface as well. It's a big problem because what happens is oil companies are buying or leasing land that's farmland. I got into a lot of trouble a couple of years ago when I exposed a number of very prominent Jewish camps that leased their property to oil companies for fracking up in Pennsylvania. Because in the process of the fracking, you pollute the water, you pollute the land. It's not just the cows that are on the land, but there are kids in camps too. They drink the water. Instead of just saying some camps, I named the camps. And I got into a lot of trouble about that. But it's true. So this is part of biblical admonition to take care of the land and not to pollute it and not to destroy it. And it's an obligation that may not resonate politically in certain circles, but certainly halakhically. So in celebration of Tu B'Shvat, if we raise our consciousness level about not wasting, taking care of the land, whether it's our little parcel of land around where we live, our own little fruit gardens or vegetable gardens, or mowing the lawn, or next month seeing trees blossom, write down the bracha if you see it. Now, I don't think there are fruit trees in Fairlawn. I could be wrong, but I know in a number of communities. I know was that? Yeah, in Teaneck, I'm saying in the Teaneck, there's a list of which blocks have fruit trees. I know in Woodmere there are signs telling you as you walk into shul which is a fruit tree, where to make a bracha. So some communities are aware of this, and they publicize it. It's very important. I don't think we have fruit trees in Fairlawn, but Teaneck for sure, Woodmere for sure, other communities. If you're walking by and you see a sign, take a sitter with you, because it's not a bracha that people will remember by heart. Anyhow, have a happy Tu B'Shvat, and please take some of that esrog liquor. It is very good. Trust me. Any other questions? I made it. Chateau Vert, BIMB. It says, bottled in my basement. Very good stuff. Takes about 5 months to make. Okay, have a great day, everybody. Stay warm. Eat something from Eretz Yisrael today.
Very nice to call, man. Speaking of what you were saying.
Okay.
With Thanksgiving, it's nice for all person members to be attending the council that they do every year. They go to the Jewish museum and they
Very nice.
Very to the Catholic Jewish brotherly love.
Good. Very important.
I always enjoy it, but very thoughtful and
Thank you.
insightful.
Okay, we have a Zimun. Let's go.
While you want
Rabbi Sign of Orech. Yishem HaProm Tov Adolam, B'Shus, Kol V'Sumin Kan, Orech Shachal Mishalo, Rosh Chal Mishlo, Tvachayinu, V'Chaton Yachim Mazon, Esol, L'Mklud, Ki hu elzon v'neis lakol mitiv lakol michim mazon chol b'riyosav asher bara b'rochato Adonai hazon es hakol no delachol not staying parents so them yel brisko shef asapet was ashali v'al hakol b'rochato Adonai al ha'oretz v'al hamazon. V'nei Yerushalayim ira kodesh mheira v'yomeinu b'ruchato Adonai v'nei berachamod Yerushalayim. Amen. Mikotu li'olam al yechasreinu. So what do you think, Danny?
What percentage of alcohol is it?
But that's what I settled on. After all the other esrog things that I made, that's the one that's the most popular.
No, it's actually good.
Do you use it on Pesach?
Huh?
Do you use it on Pesach?
Not for Dalkosos.
No, I was saying, but just since
No. It's chametz stick for sure.
It's chametz.
Alcohol is alcohol base is chametz stick.
You gotta put alcohol base in it.
It's a vodka base.
See if you can make a kosher Pesach.
You could, if I wanted to, but
No, so when you make a batch,
what?
make a separate batch. You can use it on Pesach.
It's not worth the effort. I could, but I'd have to have a separate vat for it. This is fun.